Dear colleagues and friends, I am honored to be your host for this important event. My name is John van Zyl, and I am the Business Development and Stakeholder Practitioner for the South African National Space Agency in Hermanus in the Western Cape. Firstly, I would like to welcome all the attendees, especially the two CEOs who will be signing the MoU today, Dr. Valenathan Mumsani, CEO of the South African National Space Agency, and Mr. Dumisani Sangweni, the CEO of Air Traffic Navigation Services. I would also like to welcome all the executive in attendance from the South African National Space Agency and Air Traffic Navigation Services. Also welcome to all the project managers who worked hard on making the signing of this MoU possible. And finally, welcome to all our colleagues and guests. I hope you enjoy this monumental occasion. Today we will celebrate the renewal of a very important partnership between two entities whose areas of specialization are not on Earth, but rather in the skies and in space. This MoU is not just a piece of paper. It commits us to close a partnership in 5 key areas, which is magnetic variations and world magnetic model, global navigation satellite system signal monitoring, including receiver autonomous integrity monitoring, high frequency propagations, the impact of space weather on aviation, and digital terrain data and satellite imagery. Collaboration between Air Traffic Navigation Services and the South African National Space Agency began in 2013, and the first MoU was signed in 2016. This partnership has grown substantially since then. Evidently, this MoU is not the beginning of a partnership, but rather fuel for more intensive collaboration efforts to make the skies a safer place for the aviation industry. I know everyone is busy this time of the year, and I will try and keep this ceremony as short as possible. So with further ado, here were the morning's agenda. Firstly, the two CEOs from the South African National Space Agency and from Air Traffic Navigation Services, which is Dr. Mungsami and Mr. Sangweni, will share their thoughts on this important partnership. And then finally, we will bear witness to the physical signing of the MoU through our virtual platform before closing the ceremony. With that, Dr. Mungsami, the floor is yours.
Thanks, John, for the kind introduction. And first of all, let me also welcome Dumisani, the CEO of ATNS, for this very important signing ceremony. As you've reflected, we've been working together between SANSA and ATNS since 2013, and it's been quite a strong and fruitful partnership. And in fact, we've also come to rely on ATNS quite strongly in some of the interventions that we are working on, like the Space Weather Center. So we're quite thankful for that particular support and partnership from the ATNS technical staff. I think the key aspect in terms of the agreement or the MoU that we're renewing today, you've just mentioned the 5 areas of cooperation, which is around the magnetic variations and the magnetic models and looking at GNSS, high frequency propagations, impact of space weather on aviation and so on. But I think what's happening right now, and Dumisani, you're fully aware, with the recent declaration by the International Civil Aviation Organization on the need for space weather information within the aviation sector, that's now put SANSA in the limelight in terms of providing that space weather information, not just nationally, but actually on the continent. And that becomes quite key, even in terms of the MoU we're signing today, because that particular Space Weather Center that we are currently building, and I also want to extend an invitation to you and your team to actually visit us at the Space Science Center in Hermanus to come and see the construction of the new building. In fact, we'll invite you to the actual launch itself. But what's core to this new Space Weather Center that we're actually developing and constructing at the moment, it is actually positioned as a regional Space Weather Center. So it's going to be providing space weather information to the aviation sector, across the African continent. And in that light, we're also trying to seek an African Union resolution for getting the support of the African Union in terms of what we're trying to do. But I think where this partnership will really get fired up is in terms of using your expertise in the aviation sector, especially across the African continent, and seeing how we can draw in terms of collaboration and synergies, in terms of working across the African sector, the African continent. There are some other initiatives that are coming through. There's been some recent announcements around, for example, the Space Infrastructure Hub, which is about a R4.5 billion investment, which came from the Sustainable Infrastructure Development Symposium. So that's going to see a whole suite of satellites being developed, and that will talk to, for example, one of the areas which is of cooperation, which is digital terrain data and satellite imagery. But part of that Space Infrastructure Hub is also the Space Weather Center. So that's core to the particular collaboration we're looking at today. But there's another initiative that I should also remind ourselves is around the operationalization of a satellite-based augmentation system. So a few years ago, we piloted an SBAS system in Southern Africa and proved that it's operational. It can be very effective in terms of products and services, and in terms of improving the local or the geolocation accuracy, essentially. And so we want to operationalize that particular facility in Southern Africa, and that becomes very core in terms of global navigation satellite services in the sub-region. Another initiative that we are currently working on, which is also on telecommunications, but it has some impact on GNSS as well. So we currently have worked together with the Department of Science and Innovation and Digital Communications and Digital Technology, together with Centec, to develop what is called National SATCOM Strategy. And in fact, on Thursday this week, the two DGs of Science and Innovation and DCDT will be meeting to figure out how we expedite the approval process for this. Now, where this becomes very key in terms of even this particular MOU that we're signing is on the communication side, because we're looking at a geostationary telecommunication satellite. But another aspect in terms of that particular platform will be a GNSS uplink. So when we're looking at the correction of your GNSS signals, you actually need an uplink. And so we're looking at an uplink inside of the telecommunications satellite. So there's a whole suite of additional areas that we could be exploring, which ties in very neatly with what we already are signing up for today in terms of the areas of cooperation. So Dumisani, I'm quite excited given the prospects on the table, especially with regards to the new Space Weather Center and it being positioned for the aviation sector. And as I said, this partnership is very, very critical in terms of making sure that that particular data set and products and services actually finds its way through into the aviation sector. And this is where our partnership with ATNS is going to be tantamount and critical. And then also what I've just alluded to, the Space Infrastructure Hub and the telecommunications satellite, where we could see additional areas of cooperation springing through. So we're quite excited for the signing of this MOU, and we're quite looking forward to the expanded cooperation that we'll be entering into. So thank you, Jean. Back to you.
Thank you for those inspirational words, Dr. Msami. I will now hand over the mic to Mr. Sangweni, CEO of ATNS. Mr. Sangweni, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Jean. I hope you can hear me. And to Dr. Msami, thank you for those kind words to your colleagues gathered in this virtual ceremony. Greetings to you also. It is indeed a great honor to be here, part of this renewal of a very strong partnership, as Jean mentioned, that has been ongoing for 6 years. We are very proud of this as ATNS, and it marks a significant milestone in our progression towards moving this partnership to a higher level. Maybe by way of background, because we are in a bit of a live stream, for those who are not aware, ATNS is formed by a Company Act in 1993, mandated to provide air traffic management solutions and air traffic services within the boundary of South Africa. But we have extended this, and I'll talk about that, Val, in connection to what you were saying earlier about moving this partnership into the continent. Primarily though, our focus at inception was to provide air traffic management solutions within the ATNS FIR, or South African FIR, Flight Information Region, in accordance with ICAO standards, recommended practices, and civil aviation regulations. And we've continuously, since inception, looked to leverage on operational and technological advancements in the ATM, air traffic management, communication, navigation, and surveillance environment. This has been very important for us, and hence this partnership, which we started 6 years ago, it bears a significant reference and importance to that. Automation and the integration of multiple satellite-based technology within the aviation sphere has moved with great pace over the last decades, a drive towards air traffic management modernization, in line with what we call the global air traffic management operational concept. And this has enabled a lot of ATM providers, ANSP and navigation service providers, to continue to deliver services in a more efficient and effective and cost effective manner, changing the operating landscape. And one of the key factors, as you point out, that we identified towards this ATM modernization is important to drive interconnectivity and interdependency within the ATM and communication, navigation, surveillance system components, including use of satellite-based technologies. So it is for this reason, as you correctly say, Val, that we have been working together and strongly as ATNS in the past 6 years to investigate space weather events on the aviation sector and the extent of the impact on South African aviation. And we are at that stage now with the capabilities that SANSA, and we are proud of them as a South African entity, have quite ably developed, and we therefore recognize the importance of cooperation and a need to renew this mutually beneficial relationship, sharing resources and experiences on training activities. So this really is a big milestone. Jan mentioned it, the main 5 areas of cooperation for us, include the magnetic variations, the global navigation satellite system, signal monitoring, HF frequency, very important for us, and our oceanic operations, space weather impacts on aviation, including digital terrain, data, and satellite imagery. But maybe let me take this opportunity to respond to one of the areas you mentioned, Jan, Val, the regional cooperation and projecting this partnership onto the continent. And I'm glad that you've mentioned this, because part of our mandate as part of our strategy has been in the last decade and continues to be to expand offering various products and services, ATM, communication, navigation, surveillance in various forms throughout the continent. And this represents a particular opportunity to do so. So regional cooperation, projecting this partnership is going to be key for us, and we take your invite very seriously. I can't wait to come to Cape Town. I hope it will be me to look at your colleagues, your space infrastructure hub, as you have mentioned, and how you are going about operationalizing your telecoms satellite. This is key because with our expansive network, not only through our business development and marketing efforts on the continent, but physically in the form of what we call a VSAT network, which is a multilateral arrangement we have with various member states on the continent, NSPs just like us, formed close to 3 decades ago to enhance communication between our air traffic centers. And we move data, we move voice communication on these networks. We, as ATNS, are happy and proud and honored to have been charged with the responsibility in partnership with IATA in managing this network. And we've been talking for years now as part of lifting its capabilities to add various value-add services, and certainly space weather becomes one of those that we must explore intensely in the next 4 years. And I think, Val, we need to set our teams with this objective and goal that we can do this, and in so doing, be able to move the footprint onto the continent for the sake of safety, for the sake of efficient operations and overall improvement of the air traffic management system, because ultimately that's what we are all about, as I mentioned, in terms of our mandate. So very important event. GNSS, we have been in the lead in trialing our GNS signal monitoring. There's a very big project here in ATNS, and part of this was to enhance our already active performance-based navigation program, which is aimed again at bringing efficiencies into our route networks and how we manage traffic. Performance-based communication and surveillance have also been a big element of that. And of course, space-based ADS services has been a big part of it. So I'm happy that you have mentioned GNSS, because it also forms a big part of our research and attempts to innovate and deliver a more robust air traffic management system. So we could go on and on. We could be here for the rest of the day speaking about different areas of cooperation. But I think with what you have mentioned, I would like to tag on to that, Val, and hope that these are areas in the next 10 years, from looking back the past 6 years of our partnership. Let's now hope that in the next 10 years, we can look proudly back at having moved some of these areas forward. The MoU outlines these main and has identified these critical areas of cooperation to enhance advance into aviation industry, ensuring common goals and expectations between our respective organizations, ATNS and SANSA, are achieved and met. And it is, as I said, really my honor sitting here as the CEO delegated at ATNS to be part of this occasion, leading ATNS alongside you, leading SANSA. That will be my comments for now. Jan, Master of Ceremonies, I hand back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your great insights into this fruitful relationship, Mr. Sangweni. Now we have come to the big moment where the two CEOs will sign the MoU. Can I ask that both CEOs hold the signed version up for the camera? After signing, we have delegated someone to take a screenshot of it. So, Mr. Sangweni, the floor is yours for the signature.
Sorry, I'm muted. Should I go ahead and then show it to the screen and the world, I guess? I guess you could see it.
Dr. Munsari?
Okay. There it is.
Thank you very much. Isn't that great? I see that we managed to split the screens. Perhaps both of you can hold the MOU up for a second. Nice. Thank you very much. And there we have it. The SANSA and ATNS MOU is now officially renewed. Thank you, Dr. Munsami and Mr. Sangweni. We are looking forward to continuing this valuable partnership between Air Traffic Navigation Services and the South African National Space Agency. As a member of the team who worked on renewing the MOU, I know how much effort goes into it, and I want to thank everybody who made it possible. A special thanks to Mr. Roel Bester, my counterpart at ATNS, for all your efforts. Thank you to all the attendees for attending this special occasion. The next event will occur in 2026, and I sincerely hope that the pandemic will be a thing of the past by then, and we will be able to host this event in person and not virtually. And on that note, I will draw the ceremony to a close. Thank you everyone for attending, and goodbye.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. And goodbye to everyone. Congratulations.
Thanks, Dumasani. We'll speak again soon.